This is one performance you don't need to speak the language to enjoy. In fact, you may not even understand the title of the show, FUERZA BRUTA, but as long as you're ready to enjoy and to have some fun, this show is for you. We'll meet with some members of FUERZA BRUTA today. The magnificent celebration of being alive, where performers and audiences jump, scream, and cheer together. The non-verbal performance FUERZA BRUTA was born in Argentina 13 years ago, touring 58 cities and 34 countries with a combined audience of 6 million. It surely is one of the most successful shows in the world today. The stressful contemporary life finds artistic expression in this fantastic production of mesmerizing theatrics and exciting music. The show, a harmony of performance, installation art, and music, calls for collaboration among a team of experts. Holly Heiser and Eriko Jimbo are on-stage performers who meet the audience in the glorious limelight, while Mr. Salvatierra manages the stage set to ensure the safety of performers. We meet with the members of production team for FUERZA BRUTA Wayra in Seoul. All right, well, welcome to the interview. Would you like to please introduce yourselves to our viewers first?
Okay, hi, my name is Adrian Leonardo Salvatierra, but everybody call me Salva.
Salva?
I am the head crew, head of technician staff in FUERZA BRUTA.
And?
Hi, I'm Jimbo. My full name is Eriko Jimbo, but I go by Jimbo.
Jimbo.
And I'm one of the actresses here.
All right.
And I'm Holly Heiser, and I'm also a performer.
All right, well, big welcome to Korea, and congratulations, first of all, for surviving the record-breaking hot and sweltering weather here in Korea. Compared to back home, how was it? Was it survivable?
Yeah, it was really hot here, but we have more or less the same weather in my country. Sorry, I am from Argentina.
Right.
I don't know, you?
I mean, it gets pretty humid in New York, but this was really, really hot and
Yeah,
humid.
this was a little bit more intense than we're used to in New York, than I'm used to, for sure.
I see, I see.
Yeah.
You've been here for about a month now, am I correct? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so far so good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, back in 2013, the performance saw an audience of up to about 30,000 per month, I believe. How was the reception this time around?
Well, actually, it was really great. Like this year, it's really great. Maybe I think it was different because of the weather. Because when I went in 2013, was beginning of the winter, so it was really cold, and we have a show with water and wind. Maybe the audience was
a little bit too cold.
Yeah, and right now we have hot. Is the audience? I see the audience really happy all the time with the water and dancing.
I see. Is the show more enjoyable in the summer or in the winter, do you think?
Well, I like better in the summer. Maybe it's my opinion. I don't know. Yes.
I see. Okay. Well, you performed in, I'm sure the team has performed in 58 cities and 34 countries, I believe. And I'm sure each country has its own vibe, the audience. What's unique or different about the audience here in Korea?
I think that the Korean audience is really game to be free and open to enjoy what the show has to offer them.
Wow.
And it's been really refreshing to do the show here.
How do you mean open and free to enjoy?
They're actively engaging with the performers when we engage with them, which is really great. Some audiences or some people tend to be intimidated by the performers or draw back a little bit, but this audience here seems to really enjoy everything that we are offering, and it's been a really great response.
Koreans are known to be passionate and dynamic. Maybe that's what's showing in your performances and your interaction with the audience. Now, you've started performing in July, so are you getting used to the country, staying in Korea?
I'd say yes. We've kind of figured out how to maneuver ourselves around, and where if we need to go somewhere, we know how to get there instead of getting lost.
Or if you could share with us some of the experiences that stick out in your memory so far into your stay in Korea.
What sticks out to me the most was the first night we had a really full audience after performing for a while, and it was incredible. We were talking about the Korean audience and how they were really excited, and you can feel the excitement. It was just extremely satisfying. So that really sticks out in my head.
What about you, Holly?
So many things. Korean barbecue, I don't know.
Sure.
I love the food here. But as far as the show goes, I've really been enjoying some of the children that have been in the audience, because they are just ready to play.
Oh, wow.
And it's been really fun.
What's different about the performance this time around compared to 2013?
Well, 2013, we had a small show. Right now we have, the name of this show is Wayra. It's a little bit bigger. We have new scenes, and we have the big stage, and we have difference with the music. With the years, we are changing all the time with the show, and the show is a little bit better for me. It's more bigger, and it's nice to see.
I see. And I believe each time you perform, you have big name stars taking part in your performances. People like Usher, Madonna, and Beyonce have taken part in your performances. And this time around in Korea, Jang Woo-hyuk and Choi Hyo-jin are some big names in Korea that are taking part in your performances this time around. What was your impression of them, and how was it acting with them?
I was actually lucky enough to do the show with Usher in New York, and I have to say, as well as with Mr. Chang and Ms. Choi here in Korea, I feel like performers that reach that level are there for a reason, because they work hard and they focus, and they really enjoy what they do, and they put their whole heart and soul into it. And so each time we've had celebrities come into the show in FUERZA BRUTA, I've experienced nothing but these qualities in these people. So I'm extremely grateful.
I see.
I mean, Ms. Choi and Mr. Jang have really been a pleasure to work with, because they're coming from a different background. They also have something different to offer. So it's been really fun to watch them in the show too, and see them change every time they come in to do the show. So it's like a blessing for us to be able to to share the stage with such great performers.
Now let's talk about the performance itself. FUERZA BRUTA, am I saying it right?
Yes.
Could you say it for us?
FUERZA BRUTA.
FUERZA BRUTA.
It's okay.
What is the meaning of the name itself to begin with?
FUERZA is strong, and Bruta, I don't know how to explain Bruta.
It's like force.
Yeah.
Force. Strong force.
Yeah.
I like that.
We have a lot of work here. So.
Okay, strong force. So tell us about the performance for our viewers who haven't had a chance to experience it yet.
FUERZA BRUTA is a physical theater experience. It's kind of an immersive show, so the audience is not sitting down. They're involved in the scenes. The scenes happen above you, around you, right next to you. You're always interacting with performers and set pieces. So it's kind of a brand new experience for someone who's used to just sitting down and watching a show.
Interesting. I read that it's a 360 experience. Tell us about how that works, if you could.
The audience, when they come into the space, and the way it's set up, you just don't know where it's going to start.
Ooh.
And then when you see the lights change and the show begins, you'll see where to look. And then it's just, it keeps changing and you keep moving. Though they kind of usher you around the space changes, the set pieces come out from out of the blue.
Oh, wow.
Or out of the darkness, I should say.
It sounds mysterious and
yeah,
suspenseful.
When I first saw the show, I was blown away. It was really cool as a performer to see something that really makes you feel like you're, as an audience member, a part of the show. And because it changes according to who's in the audience and who the performers are performing with, because that rotates too. So it's a really cool experience.
Wow. Wow, it sounds so interesting. Now, the show was created by, I believe, Mr. Dickie James and music by Gabby Carpel, and they couldn't be here, obviously. But if you could explain to us what they had envisioned when they were putting together this show.
Well, I think you're seeing what they envisioned. Hopefully, I wasn't a part of the beginning process of FUERZA BRUTA, but I will tell you that these men are creative geniuses. It's a pleasure to work with them each time. They're so inspiring. I mean, anyone who can think something up as creative as this and make it happen, make it possible, make it real, to me is inspiring.
I see. It's beyond your imagination. Well, tell us about the music that's involved in the performance.
It's created by Gabby Carpel. I don't actually know too much about him.
Yeah, I mean, Gabby's a pretty famous musician in Argentina. His music's pretty well known, and once you come to the show and you'll see it, you'll experience the flavor of it. Super, super inspiring.
Now, it started back in 2003, I believe, in Buenos Aires, where you're from, I believe.
Yes.
So tell us how it has evolved over the years.
Well, I started in 2010. In that time, yeah, we had changes. We have more scenes complex, complex scenes. I think the technician, the shift technician in Buenos Aires and Dickie James, they are thinking all the time to change the scenes, to do a better way to make and to mold in the scenes, to offer and to travel with the. We have a lot of things to work. Sometimes it's hard to create a scene and I go to another country and do the same. So sometimes they are discovering different things to do, and I like that because we have something to do all the time. In the beginning was really bigger, the show, and right now it's a little bit smaller, but it's better too. I like this part of the show.
I see. Which part of the world do you think it's most well received, just out of curiosity?
Well, in Asia, they are really warm. I like that. In South America, is the audience is really good audience too. But I like Asia. They are good ones. I like it.
How about in North America? How's the reception there?
It's interesting. New York audiences, people in New York see a lot of theater. So sometimes the response is either like really extreme and wonderful or really judgmental and critical. And like, I'm not going to participate, which is totally fine. It's a different experience for everybody.
I see. Interesting. So how do you get them to interact when they are saying, no, I'm not going to participate?
Well, I have to say that some of the most amazing experiences that I've had in doing the show in New York is when you have a businessman in a business suit who has been kind of standing there all night and at the end of the show decides to dance with you in the rain.
Wow.
that to me is the beauty of the show, is the opening up of people. It's like liberation. It's wonderful.
You get people to break out of their shells.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, good. And it's a non-verbal performance, but there is a lot of interaction, like you said, between the performers and the audience. Tell us about some of the interaction that goes on.
Well, this show, like we said, the audience and the performers really interact, like face to face, and you have the opportunity to connect with a complete stranger. And it's so satisfying to be able to have this connection, like Holly was saying, maybe dance together in the rain, or maybe it's just as simple as like having this moment of connection and having a moment of embrace after like a crazy party scene. Or there's a moment where the ladies, some of the ladies are in like a pool that comes down from above, and the bottom of the pool is see-through. It's made of a material called mylar, and we can see the audience's faces, and the looks on the faces of the audience when you connect with them is like there's not a show where you actually get to do that.
Right. There's installation art, there's live music and DJ and everything involved. How many of you are involved in a particular show? How many experts, how many performers, athletes, how many of you?
We are a lot of people, not only here in this country. We have a great team in Buenos Aires. They are working all the time, engineering, designers, and we are communicating all the time with them. So I don't know how many we are. Actually here, how many we are? 25?
11 cast members. I'm not sure how many are in
And
the
12,
crew.
and with the company manager, stage manager, yeah, like 23 people. In Buenos Aires we have like other 25 people working in the office for us. I see.
And because it's such an interactive performance, I'm sure it takes a toll on the body as well as on your mind as well. How do you take care of yourselves? How do you recuperate after the performance?
I mean, we the performers take a moment after every show to cool down, to wind down your body, to stretch. We do say that it takes a while for us to actually wind down from being so energetic and having these exciting experiences with the audience, because every show is very different. And so what you take away from that show could be different from one day to the next day, depending on your mood, depending on the interaction you had. So it does take some time to like cool down your body physically, and then also mentally too, because sometimes you're just so excited you can't go to bed till like 4 a.m. But it's really important that you get your rest at the same time, because the show does take a lot from you.
I'm sure. It sounds like there's a lot of physical activity involved too, right? For you, Holly, how is it?
Yeah, it's interesting though. Your body adapts to the show, and you learn after doing the show for a while what your body needs and what it doesn't need and how to prepare. So you just become smart, and your body becomes smart. So it's, you know, it's not without pain, of course, but the pain is worth it.
All right. I want to know, how did you first get involved? You were saying you first saw the performance as an audience member and you became a performer. I want to know how you made that transition.
I saw De La Guarda, which was the show before FUERZA BRUTA was even created, and I just remember being like completely in awe, not knowing what to do with myself, but knowing that it was so exciting. And when I heard about the FUERZA BRUTA audition after I graduated from college, I knew that that was the show for me, and I didn't get the audition. And I was mad about it. And I went and did some other things in New York, and I joined a company called Palabolis, and I danced with them for many years. And after that, after I was done with them, I came back to New York, and I heard they were having an audition again, and I was like, I'm gonna get it this time. This job is for me, and I actually got it.
Were they impressed that you came back for the second time?
I think like the New York cast, I don't know how many people actually were there for my first audition. So I don't know that they recognized me because I think it was a different staff. But I knew that I was going to be in that cast.
And here we are, right? Congratulations. What about you, Holly? What's your story?
I have a very similar experience. Actually, when De La Guardia was in New York, I was obsessed with that show. And every time visitors would come to New York, I would be like, we're going to see this show. We're going to see De La Guardia, which is the show from the same creators, but before FUERZA BRUTA. So I knew, like, every time I would go, I would be like, I want to be a part of this somehow. And for years, I actually carried around a photo of FUERZA BRUTA, like, in my wallet. Wow. Because I was like, I need to be part of this. And I auditioned, and 2 years later, they called me to come in and be part of the show.
It's really difficult to get in, huh? To be a part of, to be one of the performers.
Yes, well, a lot of the first members of FUERZA BRUTA in New York had been members of De La Guardia, so they were already people that the director knew and was familiar with, which seems very reasonable to me. So I felt really lucky when I got called.
I'm happy for you too, that you're actually performing in the performance of your dreams, it sounds like. What about you? How did you get involved in
well, I'm a technician, but I started, like the rigger is working with flying and ropes and harness, do you know?
Sure.
The technician job. A friend told me about FUERZA BRUTA. They are finding people to work with the ropes and the harness. I like that. And I really like it because I learn a lot of things. And right now I am the head crew. I like better to do this than the rigger. So my experience was really great for me.
All right. So you're the man in charge of all the flying people in the performance, huh?
I have a great team working with me.
I see. With 3 hours to go before the curtains open, all staff members are busy in rehearsal. Everyone's focused and the energy is high. The show involves lots of flying scenes where performers are suspended from above. There's no room for mistakes here. The air is thick with tension.
극 중에 있는 씬인데요. 그 떼초모빌이라고 해서 그 무대 전체를 덮는 천이고요. 거기서 지금 배우분들이 이제 센터에서 플라잉이라고 해서 매달려서 이제 뭐 연기를 하는데 그거에 대해서 이제 오퍼레이터 분들의 지금 교육을 하고 있어요. 이쪽에서 약간 좀 계속 투어를 하다 보니 멤버분들도 이제 뭐 교체가 되기도 하고 스태프들도 교체가 되기도 하고 그래서 모두가 이제 좀 다 알아야 되는 그런 시스템인 것 같더라고요.
Tecomobile is a highly advanced movement where the performer, suspended on wire, comes down vertically upside down from a cylinder which blows out a strong wind. Audience members often pick this as one that looks the most technically challenging. How the audience interprets this seemingly gravity-defying movement is up to each and every one of them.
The entire show is very subjective, and it can mean different things to different people, and depending on how we do the performance every night, it could even change that way too. Everything sort of has like a skeleton structure to it, and then the meat and the bones that come on it can change from day to day. So what it means to us in that moment can change from the next day to the next day, and what that means to every person can change from every day to day.
In Corredores, wired-up performers float over silver curtains. The performers' movements must work in perfect timing with the maneuver of those wires which hold them, light but fast, like a small bird. As two performers run around, they must work with each other to stay in rhythm. All the while, staff members below keep the curtains moving, which, with fantastic lighting, present two beautiful ladies in frolic over the mesmerizing waves.
FUERZA BRUTA is whatever you want it to be, so whatever you thought we were shouting is exactly what it is. There's no exact script for the scene. There's another part in the show that happens right before this that kind of connects to this scene a little bit more. So I think I don't want to give anything away. I'd rather have you see that first scene, and then it might inform how you feel about what you just saw.
Are the performers all dancers and athletes? I want to know.
We're all like performers, I would say. So there's some of us with a dance background. Some of us are actors and actresses. Some of us are acrobats. But in this show, it requires all of those things. So we're all a bit of everything.
So if I, for example, suddenly wanted to take part in it, would I have the skill sets necessary to be a performer? I'm just
Probably not.
probably not.
I mean, I don't know your background completely, but the show is extremely physical. So it's definitely people that have either done martial arts or have been super physical in some way, like in some kind of training, whether it be dance or climbing or acrobat.
I want to know how much preparation goes into the performance, ahead of the performance itself.
We have to come each day 3 or 4 hours before the first show, and we have to preparing to set up everything, to check all the systems. And in the beginning we have a meeting, a track meeting with all the crew to talk about how was the last show, to do a better show in the next one, or at least not worse. So each day we have to do that.
I understand that there's no boundary between the stage and the audience. And what's the idea behind it? I can't even picture it in my head.
What's important is the connection. So it's not that like breaks all the boundaries, right? Like when you have an audience that's sitting and performers on stage, there is a barrier. But in our show, the audience is standing, they're constantly moving around, the performers are constantly shifting around, they're above your head, they're like in your face, they're holding your hand. So there is no boundaries in that sense, and I think that allows for a special connection, and it allows the audience member to go through an experience that you normally wouldn't have if you were just sitting and watching and having a distance between the performers and the audience members. So this show breaks that barrier, and that's why I think it's so special. It's the concept of like immersive theater where, there are no boundaries.
But because there is no barrier, I would imagine there might be incidents where that's an issue.
You never know how someone's going to react to that type of experience. So of course there have been moments I've personally experienced in New York where there may be a safety concern, but we are so blessed with the most amazing crews in every city we go to, and I have always felt very taken care of, and our crew is always on top of that should it occur.
So I feel like there needs to be a strong faith and a connection between the performers and the crew. Tell us about that dynamic.
If we didn't have that, this show, in my opinion, couldn't exist. Some of the acts are dangerous and require complete trust in the operators and the crew and the riggers. And I again, like I said, we have the best crew. We're blessed.
They're really knowledgeable people. They're very careful. They always check us before every scene, make sure that our harness is on properly, and not just on, but like nothing's falling apart, because there is wear and tear on materials. But they're constantly checking us, we're constantly checking ourselves, we're constantly working with each other, communicating, and that's, I think, what makes the show work.
I see. And there's some flying involved as well, as we mentioned. Do you too fly in the air as well?
Yeah.
All right. Does it get scary for you at all?
No. I think, like as we were talking about before, there's a certain personality that wants to fly in the air, that thinks it's so fun and cannot wait to do it. And that's, I think, why we're a part of the show.
What about for you, Jimbo?
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the first time that I got to go up in the air at my audition, the first audition, I was just like, whoa, what's this? And just like totally out of control and not able to do what they were asking me to do. But you get used to that. Like, and I think with this whole show, as a performer, what I love about it is that you can't have any expectations of how things are gonna go, because that often works against you. And if you're just open to what happens and you're listening to constantly what's going on and seeing things and sharing it and open to whatever happens and reacting accordingly, like you do some really amazing things that even you didn't even expect. And you're doing it with a group of people from all over the world and like creating this awesome experience and sharing it with an audience that doesn't even speak your language, but they understand physical theater. It's really
interesting.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
As an audience member, I understand that you wouldn't want them to expect what's coming next, but as a performer, you want to expect what's coming next, no?
Yes, but in the same sense, the reaction to that is always unknown. So that's what I think what Jimbo's talking about, right? Like, you know what comes next in the scene, but how that audience member reacts to that part in the scene can be completely different every night.
And you have to be able to respond to that accordingly. Otherwise, you're just doing the same thing. So I feel like allowing yourself to be open to that allows your theater to change as well.
Right, well, I want to talk about your families a little bit, your personal stories, if you don't mind, because it involves flying and traveling around the world. Do your family members ever try to talk you out of it or try to have you come back home safe and sound next to them?
Yes, is the direct answer to that. My mom, she often asks me when I'm going to get a real job. I'm not sure she sees this kind of life as, you know, sane. So it's been actually a little bit of a struggle for me with my family, because I have been away a lot. I've toured with the company a lot. I've missed a lot of holidays, birthdays, celebrations. So that has been difficult because it's created a distance between my family and I. And just recently, I've started to really make an effort to reconnect with them.
So your mom's against it, I get it. What about you, Zimbo?
I think my parents are used to me doing things out of the ordinary that usually involves some sort of physical challenge. And my family is also full of artists, so they've sort of kind of accepted the fact that we'll be frolicking around the world constantly, and there's always a financial issue, and there's worried about us in that sense, like, when are you going to actually start making money? But mostly me. But they see that I'm really enjoying what I do. So they've been also very supportive, which I feel really, really, really lucky about that, because my mom is a musician as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I always say that because she is a musician, that's how I got to dancing, is because she actually is the one who taught me music, but through your rhythmics, which is using your body. So, and I was a hyperactive kid who always loved to be outdoors, running around. So dance sort of made sense. It was just, my body was my instrument, and that's how I began dancing.
How do you make sure everything goes without a glitch? What are some of the the precautionary measures that you take, that you pay special attention to?
We have to check everything and to work many hours before the show to check all the systems. We have many ropes, motors working with the reels, like a cart in the reels, and we have the mylar. It's a big swimming pool, and we have to put a lot of attention of that scenes. We have many rigging points, like motor with change, with steel ropes, and we have to work a lot with that scenes, and I like it. We have the corredor, is other thing what all the crew are involved in that scenes, and we have to put a lot of attention of that scenes.
Since the Seoul tour opened in July, some 20,000 people have come to see FUERZA BRUTA. This was a hot and humid weekday evening, and yet the place was packed with excited spectators.
저희 SNS에서 보고 왔는데 너무 재밌을 것 같고 기대돼요. 저는 그 중에서 천장에서 수영하는 워터 퍼포먼스가 제일 기대가 됩니다. 재밌을 것 같아요.
제가 평소에 공연을 되게 많이 보는데 이런 새로운 공연이 우리나라에서도 한다 그래서 관심 있게 찾아보고 해서 보게 됐는데요. 이 공연이 관객이랑 배우랑 경계를 허물고 또 다양한 곳에서 배우들이 예상치 못한 곳에서 등장한다고 하길래 너무 기대되는 마음으로 공연 보러 왔습니다.
In darkness, drum beats and singing signal the beginning of the show. The exotic music brings the audience into the flow. FUERZA BRUTA is a standing show, so the members of audience are naturally encouraged to take part in the performance. Their jumping and dancing together with the performers is really a part of the show. Corridor comes early in the performance. A darkened corner of the theater reveals a running machine. How it comes out again and again expresses the repetitive nature of the tiring contemporary life. This is symbolic of the show's message, with FUERZA meaning harsh reality. This is certainly a showstopper. A huge water tank suspended from the ceiling comes down to the audience. Performers dancing in this see-through tank creates a dreamlike scene. Throughout the show, FUERZA BRUTA never ceases to amaze the audience. Cool breeze, fantastic confetti, and soft showers all contribute to this unique experience. So this is certainly not a show where you sit back and watch the stage. With FUERZA BRUTA, you have to see it, feel it, and touch it. 70 minutes will just fly by as you find yourself completely immersed in this one-of-a-kind production. Well, that swimming pool part really piqued my interest. Now, what is the most impressive spectacle, do you think, in the show, in the performance?
I think almost every scene is a spectacle.
Okay.
So, but when I watch the show, I definitely remember that Mylar scene, which is the pool, because I mean, these women are like pouring their hearts and souls into that scene, and I don't want to give it away, but I felt as a minority living in New York City, I felt empowered. Like I was inspired.
Wow.
I was like, yes, I will be that person.
Wow.
So I do remember that being a moment where it like really struck me. It almost made me cry.
Wow.
And then that next moment, there's a particular moment, which if you come see the show, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's like really high energy, and then it brings you down to one like quiet, beautiful moment. So that moment to me is like my favorite part of the show.
You definitely got my attention and all of our viewers' attention as well. What about you, Holly? Which is your favorite scene or favorite spectacle?
I think the Mylar is
The pool?
The pool has always been. When have you ever seen that before? Anywhere. It doesn't exist. It only exists here. And just the fact that someone, Dickie James, thought that up and was able to make it happen is incredible to me. Not to mention that, as Jimbo was saying, it takes you through so many moments. Moments of very soft, vulnerable women to women who are strong and powerful. And to see the two sides of women in this way, I think is a really beautiful way to look at femininity.
Really involves a lot of themes, it feels like, because you just mentioned women, empowerment, minority, living in the US. That's a lot of themes involved in it too. What do you think are some of the messages that the audience can take away from watching this performance?
Well, like I said, it really depends on you. These are our experiences of the scene as we do them. This is what resonates with us. Maybe if you watch it and you see something completely different, and that's what's beautiful about FUERZA BRUTA. It can be whatever you want it to be for you. However, it can change or affect you or make you feel something different.
I think Holly's right, and it totally depends on who's watching, what their journey is. The other day I had one of my friends come see the show, and I asked her what her favorite moment of the show was, and she was like, the opening image. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a really striking, beautiful image. You don't really know what's gonna happen, but you're drawn into this world. And I think it's a very, like we were talking, the lighting is beautiful, or I don't know if beautiful is the right word, but it's like, it's kind of mysterious. You really don't know what's about to happen. Some people are like, oh God, and some people are just blown away by it, like my friend. And I never would have thought that that was the image that she would have said, but she did. So it totally just depends on who's watching.
Any interesting episodes that you can share with our viewers?
I mean, lots of crazy stuff happens when you put people in this kind of situation. I mean, I've had this guy in the Mylar like tell me, hang on, and then he's like writing something on a piece of paper, and I was like, that's really interesting. I'm gonna wait here and see what happens. And then he holds it up to the Mylar, and it's his phone number.
Is this an audience member?
Yes. So that, like, people do, you know, it brings out different things in people that can be really interesting and really fun, and especially really fun for you as a performer and an actor to like experience that, you know.
I have to ask, did you call him back?
No.
Why not?
No.
That would have been the story of another kind. Now, what do you tell yourselves before you hit the stage every day?
I think that every individual person has something that they might like do to mentally prepare themselves before the show, but we as a cast, 5 minutes before the show starts, get together and take a moment to make eye contact, be with each other, and we have a little ritual that we do, and sometimes we change it up or add something, but we take that moment to come together and put our lives at risk. You know, it is a dangerous show. Anything can happen. So it takes a lot of focus and concentration. So in our way, it's like our little prayer so that we have a really great show.
It's a really special moment, like Jimbo said, for everyone to actually be together before the show starts as a team, to really like solidify that feeling that we're in this together, and no matter what happens, we're gonna get through it together.
Well, what's the best way to enjoy FUERZA BRUTA? What's the best way people can enjoy the show?
I think the best way for people to enjoy the show is to come with an open mind, open to being free for an hour, to try, to listen, to celebrate, to have fun, forget everything else, just for 1 hour.
I would say the same thing, just to like be open to whatever is going to happen. And if a performer is inviting you to engage, to not be afraid to engage and like be yourself and enjoy yourself, enjoy the experience. Also not be afraid to get wet.
Ooh. I like that. Any final words to the Korean fans out there who might be interested in coming to the show and getting wet?
I would say come. Yes. Like don't let anything get in the way, just come. When you can come, take the opportunity to come because you won't regret it.
All right, well, it was great talking to you all, and thank you so much for your time, and good luck to you tonight. Yes?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. If you want to end the summer with a bang and have an unforgettable summer of 2018, do come out and check out the show. It'll be worth your time. Thank you so much for watching, and do join us again same time next week. Bye-bye.